Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me this afternoon. It's nice to be back speaking with you. As of today, in many ways, your life has returned to normalcy. Masks are no longer required in many locations. Our economy is fully opened. Schools and universities are slated to reopen, and the days of social distancing seem to have faded as concerts and sporting events are bringing us all back. So while not everything is in the status quo, it does feel much closer to normal than it did 6 months ago. This is because the virus is now much better control in many places. Excuse me. This is because the virus is now under much better control in many places due to the wide availability of COVID-19 vaccines. New England continues to lead the way in rolling out its COVID-19 vaccination programs, with Connecticut and Massachusetts among the country's leaders, according to the data from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. Massachusetts has the second highest vaccination rate in the country, only behind Vermont, while Connecticut is ranked fourth. Slightly trailing in third place is Maine. In Newburyport, 72% of our eligible residents are fully vaccinated, and 78% have received at least one dose. We have come so far, but I am still urging everyone to get vaccinated. The pandemic is still very much present, and the crisis isn't over. Locally, we continue to see low numbers in COVID cases. This month in July, we have had 8 cases, though I must note that all of them have occurred in the last 10 days of this month. I will expand on that a little bit further in a few minutes. On to some local business. I am happy to close out my final budget cycle for this upcoming fiscal year as your mayor, and would like to thank our city councilors for their hard work in helping to finalize the budget and voting on its approval. It's been a progressive process over the last 11 and a half years that I have served as your mayor. We've worked hard to improve it over time and to make it a much more transparent process. We provide a lot of information to the public, residents, and our taxpayers so that it's clear to see how the city spends its money. Councilors were able to participate in 7 budget workshops, which allowed them to question city department heads and debate potential cuts. They unanimously approved a $74.6 million budget for fiscal year 2022. Highlights include $33.5 million for our school department, $5.8 million for Water Enterprise Fund, $7.7 million for Sewer Enterprise Fund, and a little over $522,000 for the Harbor Master Enterprise Funds. We are pleased to also announce the Senior Property Tax Work-Off Program again this year, with the addition of a Veterans Property Tax Work-Off Program as well. These programs are for our older Newburyport residents and veterans to work jobs in city departments for an abatement on their property taxes. Participants work in a variety of positions, from serving as a receptionist at the Senior Community Center and City Hall, to assisting at the recycling center, and so much more. The program is administered by the Council on Aging in consultation with other departments. For more information, please go to the city website, cityofnewburyport.com, then to departments and to the Council on Aging. Click on Tax Work-Off Programs. You may also contact the Senior Community Center directly at 978-462 0430. We also have openings for residents who may be interested in volunteering their time to serve on one of Newburyport's boards or commissions. We currently have openings on the Affordable Housing Trust, the Planning Board, the Tree Commission, and our Human Rights Commission. Our volunteers contribute countless hours and their energy and expertise, which greatly enhances the operations of our city. You can find a description of each board on the city's website, then click on the government and go to the boards and committee link to learn more. If you are interested in joining, please send a letter of interest and resume to my attention at the Mayor's office at City Hall, 60 Pleasant Street, Newburyport, Mass. Our DEI, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Alliance, recently completed its series of 3 community dialogues. The dialogues were focused on community values and beliefs and how those values guide city decision-making. One session was dedicated to the role of law enforcement in our community. The environment created for these dialogues was very effective in opening the conversation. The Alliance has contracted the firm Essential Partners to train our members as facilitators so that we can continue with the forums on a broader scale within the community. You will hear more from the DEI this coming fall, and we welcome the community's involvement. Another positive community celebration included the inaugural celebration of Juneteenth Day, Friday, June 18th at City Hall, making the announcement of the Emancipation Proclamation and the end of slavery in the Confederate States. In 2020, Governor Charlie Baker signed into law Juneteenth Day as a state holiday. It also became a federal holiday. It was a wonderful ceremony for all who attended. Speakers included Edward Carson, the Dean of Multicultural Education at Governor's Academy, Reverend Rebecca Bryant at First Religious Society, Unitarian Universalist, and Reverend Jared Mercer of St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Newburyport, who offered prayers, and students from the high school read a poem. A Juneteenth flag was raised in honor of this day on a new flagpole installed at City Hall. The newly paved riverfront portion of the Clipper City Rail Trail, adjacent to the wastewater treatment plant, is now open to the public as we have completed the 6-month shoreline resiliency project. We are thrilled to complete this continuous loop around the core of Newburyport. A ribbon-cutting event was held in mid-June with great participation from the community. We are so fortunate to have this beautiful asset in our city for all to enjoy and for many years to come. Thank you to all who participated in the Sasaki survey, the design firm hired by the city to complete a schematic design for a long-awaited expansion of the Central Waterfront Park downtown. The point of the survey was to gather community input on key considerations from the community as schematic design plans are being finalized in the coming months. In June of 2020, all land assets of the former Newburyport Redevelopment Authority were transferred to the City of Newburyport for use in creating and maintaining an expanded Market Landing Park. An ad hoc committee has been established by the City Council for the purpose of overseeing the progress of design work by Sasaki Associates. Design and consulting services are now underway, with completion anticipated in the fall of 2021. Upon completion of the schematic design phase, Sasaki will provide the detailed plans and specifications necessary for public bidding and construction. We were happy to welcome Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito and Mass DOT last week to announce their latest rounds of grants for the Complete Streets funding program. As a recipient of this grant, we have been able to construct a shared use path between the existing Clipper Rail Trail at the Newburytown line and the Clipper City Rail Trail at State Street, providing flashing beacons to safely get pedestrians across State Street. Final work for the project includes completing the gap on Parker Street and working with Mass DOT to complete the crossing at the Route 1 Rotary and connecting to the start of the rail trail at the train station. Our Clipper City Rail Trail is nearly complete and has been embraced by so many, creating a safe walking and bicycling venue. Our work on Plum Island continues. The short-term core bag and wood pilings project is designed and permitted for the Greater Reservation Terrace area. We are reviewing the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Merrimack River dredging schedule to determine timing in order to go forward to protect properties in our infrastructure prior to hurricane season. The Merrimack River dredge will result in approximately 220,000 cubic yards of sand from the river being placed on Reservation Terrace. Current conditions in the harbor pose navigational hazard for many vessels during low tides and rough seas. Sand removed by the project will be beneficially reused for beach restoration, which, as most of us now know, has experienced severe coastal erosion over the past decade. We are pleased to submit our application for a 5-year recertification for Newburyport's designation as a Coast Guard city. It's hard to believe that another 5 years has gone by and that this year marks a decade since our original designation. Much has been accomplished over the past 10 years, and it is my hope we will gather together to celebrate this past decade with the Coast Guard as our trusted friend and partner who have worked so well with the people of Newburyport. The integration of their stewardship, safety, and security expertise has saved many lives and provided a sanctuary for our region. The designation as a Coast Guard city signifies our enduring bond with the Coast Guard, and it's something that will mark our public service as we gather together well into the future. We are happy to celebrate with them, as we always do at our annual Yankee Homecoming Festival, which I'm thrilled to say is back on and begins this weekend. This year's theme, Yankee Homecoming Reimagined, perfectly describes the essence and resilience of our historic community. While the COVID-19 pandemic prevented a traditional Yankee homecoming in 2020, this year's celebration will reflect a reimagined, hopeful future while offering a wide variety of activities highlighting Newburyport's old and new traditions. I can't thank our volunteers enough who have worked hard to pull it all together in a very short amount of time. Most of our standard events have returned, as well as some new events. You can check the Yankee Homecoming website at yankeehomecoming.com for a full list of events. Given these trying times, in some ways the festival will look different. We understand that many people are excited to be out and part of the festival, though I feel compelled to talk about the current situation with the virus and what this means for all of us going forward. Realizing that the festival is doing everything it can to make the event as safe as possible, including extra sanitizing measures and supporting the personal decisions of everyone coming into the community, it is imperative that people be responsible. We know that our state is reviewing the latest CDC guidance. Massachusetts is in a very different place than much of the country. We are one of the lowest hospitalization rates, as well as one of the highest vaccination rates. This will factor into any decision on how we move forward on any mandatory mandates, and we will follow directives from the state and CDC. What is concerning is this newest Delta variant that has created outbreaks with a very different behavior than past strains of the COVID-19 virus. This Delta variant is spreading across the country and is very, very contagious. And we know that upticks in case counts and hospitalizations in other states are attributed to the many people who are still not vaccinated. We have seen the recent spike in Provincetown, despite our state's high vaccination rate. which is clearly indicating this variant is here and we must still continue to be cautious. Though at this juncture, we will not be implementing any mandatory directives, I'm strongly urging residents and visitors to wear masks while indoor in public settings, particularly if crowded. Yankee homecoming events are outside or virtual, but we anticipate crowds. And since we cannot know if people are vaccinated or not, I strongly encourage masks to be worn in these crowded venues. Masks can continue to be an important part of keeping people safe. Some of our local businesses and organizations may elect to require masking once again in their highly trafficked areas. We will support their efforts in whatever they choose to do in preventing any kind of spread within their organizations and in our community. Your cooperation and exercising good judgment, especially in this next week with our Yankee Homecoming Festival, is most appreciated. And please, seek out a vaccine if you have not done so. It remains critically important for anyone who has not yet been vaccinated to get immunized. It is the greatest and most powerful tool you can use to protect yourself and your family against the Delta variant and this virus. We know that vaccinated people are becoming infected. In fact, half of our local cases, the 8 cases that I mentioned earlier, are people that had been vaccinated. So while small numbers of people and some that are vaccinated are getting infected, the good news is that the COVID vaccines help prevent severe symptoms and illness, hospitalizations, and death. I hope you are enjoying the summer despite the many days of rain. Newburyport has so much to offer. Dining in one of our many restaurants, exploring our arts and cultural scene, our shops, getting out on the river, or spending time in one of our many parks. We all need to support our local economy. I know we will have a wonderful week to make new memories with our homecoming and Yankee Homecoming Festival. Enjoy and please be safe.